Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Everton show. Well, what a momentous week it's been for all Evertonians as the club takes the first gentle steps along the road to a brand new stadium. Alongside me on the Everton show sofa this week are Graham Stuart and Joe Parkinson, and we'll be speaking to them at length as we go along. But this week, there's only one place to start.
This week in particular, we've seen two very significant steps forward. Firstly, I'm delighted to announce that we have secured the land at Bramley Moore Dock, which is tremendous news. It's the site that I think we know all our fans have wanted. It's the site that our chairman and Mr. Mashiri have wanted, and Joe's played a major role in negotiations with Peel in terms of us getting control of Bramley Moore Dock. So that's great news and a significant step forward. Secondly, I'm also pleased to announce that the council has confirmed its willingness to support us in finding a funding solution. And I think, as fans will have heard me say on many times in the past, finding the funds, finding the finance to build the stadium has been probably our biggest single challenge. And whilst we still need cabinet approval for the council to support the package, we believe we've made a significant step forward. And again, thanks to Joe and his officers for the collaboration over the last 6 to 12 months, working very, very hard to find that solution. So this week, two very, very significant steps forward.
It's a good deal for the city, not only in terms of finances, and it means that the city doesn't actually make any financial contribution, but what it gives us is not only providing a new home for Everton Football Club, which is crucial to the city and also for the club itself, but it also, as I said when I mentioned at the outset about it being a new chapter, it is a new chapter, a new page in Everton's history.
Terrific news then for all Evertonians. There's still a long way to go, of course, but every great journey has to start somewhere. Right, it's great to have two 1995 FA Cup final teammates on the show this week, and here's a taste of what they and you can enjoy in the next hour or so.
All I've got to do is just keep working hard, really. That's all I can do. And the goal is a bonus, but I like to think I've played my part today in the 4-0 win.
We really enjoy coming down here to be part of it and put smiles on people's faces, and they put smiles on my face this evening, and I'll go home happy.
I've got the nucleus of a good side, a nucleus also of what I call local lads, and I think that is very, very important at any football club.
Premier League is really hard. Every game is different, so we have to go game by game and get the good results.
I'd never leave this club. The only way they're going to get me out of this club is carry me out in a coffin. And there's a few want to do that, by the way.
Graham, as I said there about the stadium, it's the first few steps of a long, long journey, but it's terrific news nonetheless.
It is. It's the news we've all wanted to hear for a while now. I'm sure the Evertonians out there are going to embrace that news and get very excited about it very quickly. But as we say, it's the first few steps along a long journey that we're certainly all going to enjoy. It's all going well, Joe, so far, isn't it?
It's fantastic, just positive news on and off the pitch. You know, the way the group's getting together, it's a young squad with a bit of experience in there. The young lads are getting in. You know, it's all exciting times, really.
And it's the location that the fans wanted, Graham, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's important for the fans. You know, they were all desperate. We were all desperate for it to be down on the dockside there. And I think it gives us something to really, really look forward to. It's been a terrific season so far. Plenty of excitement still to come. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for the fans now.
Long may it continue. Right, since the Merseyside derby setback against Liverpool back in December, Everton have played 6 home games in the Premier League. We've won them all and scored a very impressive 22 goals along the way. That's almost 4 goals a game. And 4 is exactly what we got against Hull City last Saturday.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you were here?
With 18 goals in their last 5 league games here, Everton are very much at home inside Goodison Park. Barkley with an excellent ball for Davis. Davis pulls it back and Everton lead. Dominic Calvert-Lewin celebrates his first Everton goal. Then a Valencia for Everton, linking up with Lukaku. Valencia to seal it. Yes, he does. He's only been on a minute. Valencia for Lukaku, here's the chance, and there's the goal! Romelu Lukaku, history maker again. And Lukaku's been presented with another opportunity. It's a double for Romelu Lukaku today. 2 for him, 4 for Everton. And the Blues on fire again at Goodison Park. Everton 4, Hull City 0.
Well, Dominic, that's a day to remember, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, after the Southampton one, I've worked hard to get it back, so it's a nice little reward and nice to get the 3 points as well.
And to get a goal, obviously. You must mention that.
Yeah, of course. It's, I've replayed the celebration many times in my head and I didn't do any of them, so no, obviously it's good to get my first goal in the Premier League.
I made up for him, to be honest, for him to get his first goal. His debut didn't go as he planned, but I'm glad today that he's managed to get a goal. Yeah. To get the goal just summed up his performance. He worked hard, and I'm glad I had managed to set him up. Yeah.
We knew it was going to be tough. Obviously, the last 2 teams we've had come in here and try to make it hard for us. So it's important to get the first goal. We did that. We managed to defend the set pieces well today, and cut them to pieces a couple of times. And obviously, our right man at the right time. Not only Dom, but obviously Rom as well, which was fantastic.
Everybody loves Rom because he's really that key player, that top scorer in the team, and he showed that today. Maybe you can stop him for 85 minutes, but 11 against 10, but even in 11 against 11, if he got that space, and if they make that kind of mistake by the 4th goal, then he will punish that, and that's one of his big qualities.
We're obviously keeping an eye on who's above us and watching who's below us, but the more results we get, the higher we're going to go. So today's another good one as Arsenal slipped up, so it's a good day for us. Yeah.
We spoke about the 6 points at home against West Brom and today Hull, and okay, we get now the opportunity for in 2 weeks to play Liverpool, to play Man United, the teams above us. If we like to do something more special this season, then we need to beat them.
All I've got to do is just keep working hard, really. That's all I can do. And the goal is a bonus, but I like to think I've played my part today in the 4-0 win, and obviously the 3 points as well.
Joe, you were at Goodison for the Hull City game. For long periods, it didn't look as if it was going to be a 4-0 type of game, but it was a comfortable win.
Yeah, I was disappointed with Hull, to be honest. You know, they had picked up over the games before that, but you know, we played quite well. We was never going to lose a game, but like you said, I don't think 4-0, you know, was a result that everyone was expecting, but it was very, very comfortable.
Lovely moment for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, especially after the injury that he suffered.
Yeah, of course, that was really disappointing for him to have his debut and for it to end so quickly with an injury. But Dominic's worked hard, obviously, with the physios, and he's come back strong, had a chance to start again. And it was great to see the 2 young boys link up. Great through ball from Ross, brilliant pull back from Tom. And there he is, Dominic. Good to see as well, because he was playing off the left, but recognised that there's the opportunity to get himself in at the far post and, you know, tap it in for the opening goal. Great moment for him. Let's speak about your old zone, the midfield area, Joe. Just off camera there, you were speaking how impressed you've been with Idrissa Gueye.
Yeah, I think he's been exceptional, and what a buy. We were speaking off camera, and I'd never heard of him last year, and he was playing in the Premiership side at Aston Villa, so it was a great coup to get him. And he's just gone from strength to strength, but I think our midfield at the moment is so strong. You know, there's a good balance in there, and you know, we're getting goals, they're getting forward. There's different types of midfielders in there. So it's very strong and very positive for us.
Morgan Schneiderlin picked up an injury. We don't know whether he will be available for the derby, but he'd be a miss if he's not.
Oh, he'd be a massive miss. He's been exceptional as well since he come in. He's got that calming influence over players. I think he's helping Tom as well, who's excelling every game really. So like I said before, it's a great balance of youth as well as experience and different types of players in there.
I'll tell you what, Graham, Enna Valencia never lets us down when he comes on.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a real bonus for us. I mean, the squad is looking really strong, you know, as Joe's alluded to there. But, you know, when you can bring somebody like Enna off the bench, all of a sudden you've got a different dynamic. He's pacey. You know, you're not quite sure what he's going to do. I don't know if Enna thinks he knows what he's going to do at some points. But, you know, he's come on, he's scored goals, he's changed the game. Brilliant for us.
And he puts a shift in as well, doesn't he? Which is what the Toffees love. And that brings us to the end of part one of this week's programme. After a short break, we'll be back with a fantastic piece of film involving Seamus Coleman, Ian Snowden and the brilliant lads who make up the Everton in the Community Down Syndrome football team. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, anybody who has spent any time in the company of Seamus Coleman will confirm that not only is he a great footballer, he's also an absolutely terrific guy. Nothing is ever too much trouble for him. And if you didn't know how he made his living, you would never dream that the boy was a Premier League footballer. So when we sent him along to the Everton Free School to support World Down Syndrome Day earlier this week, it was no surprise that Seamus was keen to get stuck in.
Yeah, I loved it. First and foremost, I was delighted to be asked down and happy to be involved. But once the game got going, it was great. And you can tell, you know, that they must meet up once a week because they have the basics right. And as I said, some of the goals scored and some of the goalkeeping from Daniel as well was brilliant. It's odd socks is kind of trying to emphasise the awareness for it. So the lads were colouring in odd socks when I came and I got involved. And as I said, it was a bit of a laugh, and Ian was brilliant as well. Everyone knows that it's so important to the club, and you know, we're a family-oriented club, and we really enjoy coming down here to be part of it and put smiles on people's faces. And like I said in a previous interview, you know, they put smiles on my face this evening, and I'll go home happy.
Absolutely fantastic, pleasure to be here. Me and Seamus have just been talking now. Wow, you've got to enjoy that with these kids. It's fantastic. We've had an hour and a half with them. We've been craning, colouring in socks for Awareness Day, Down Syndrome Day, and to see them play football, the celebrations are fantastic. And honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here today. It's all for the kids. They thoroughly enjoyed it. Some great characters amongst them. And as I say, it's been one fantastic evening. Do you know what? If somebody was doing a goal of the season, there'd be about 8 nominees there because they were flying in from everywhere. No, they've been an absolute credit to themselves and the parents.
All the lads here, most of them started off on day one, and more and more have come every week. We've got a good core of lads now who come week in, week out. Good part of it is when we go and play in the national tournaments, and the last one we've just been in, all the other teams came up to us and spotted a few of our players like they're really good players, so we're quite proud, and thanks to Seamus and Ian for coming down, because the lads, anyone who comes down for a game of footy, they're always welcoming them to have a game, but special thanks for them to come down.
Diamond, yet another fantastic piece of film.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And as soon as Snods came back from that, I caught up with him, and he said, we've done some terrific things over the years, but he said that is right up there with one of the best things he's ever done. He said the lads were different class. He said Seamus was unbelievable the way he threw himself into it. So I think they had a really good hour together. Yeah,
it looked absolutely fantastic. Joe, your Everton show debut. Let's learn a little bit more about Joe Parkinson. Go right back to the beginning of your Everton story. How did the move from Bournemouth come about in the first place?
Well, it was just coming up to transfer deadline day, and I'd only just joined Bournemouth, so I wasn't expecting to leave them. And we played the night before up at York, travelled back the same day. So I'd had a bit of a lie-in the following day. Next minute there's a knock at the door, and it's Tony Pulis, who was the manager.
Of course, yeah.
Obviously, I wondered what the hell was happening really, and he said, you need to get to Heathrow as quick as you can. Everton want to buy you. Are you interested? So I went, well, of course, like, so I didn't know how to get to London. I had to knock next door, and luckily he knew how to get there, so he drove me up there, and I was on the same flight as Anders Limpar, and you know, we came up together and we both signed on the same day.
When you signed a player from Bournemouth, Diamond, you were obviously in the Everton side at the time. Did Joe's accent take you by surprise a wee bit?
Well, I can't talk about accents, can I? I've been up here years and years, and this one hasn't softened, has it? But no, I mean, Joe and Anders turned up. You know, I think Joe ended up taking my place to start off with, because obviously Joe, you know, had looked at the situation at the football club, and we were in a bit of a perilous state at the time in terms of our league position. and he wanted to, you know, strengthen things up in the middle of the park, especially because we were a bit of a soft touch. And then Joe came in and, you know, he really hit the ground running, as did Anders. I mean, we had a good mix at the time, because you had, you know, what Joe famously called the dogs of war in Ebbo and Barry and Joe himself, but we also had the Anders Limpars of this world and the Andrei Konchelskis a bit later on down the line. But it was a really, really good atmosphere in and around the place. I think you'd agree with that, Joe. I mean, that's one of, you know, the favourite time of my career playing in that team.
Absolutely. The team spirit we had as a group was fantastic, and it got us out of the trouble. You know, we became a hard team to beat, and we all worked hard for each other, and we enjoyed his company, you know, off the field as well, which was, it's massive, you know, the team spirit, and it got us out of trouble, simple as that.
Mike Walker signed you, Joe, but Joe Royle really pushed you on, didn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't really in the team with Mike Walker when I first came. I did struggle, and it was only when Joe came in, him and Willie, and we had 2 weeks off it was international week, and I don't think we had too many internationals at the time, and we had a really good training group, and, you know, it was like every manager says when they first come in, you know, it's down to you to get in the team, and luckily he liked what I gave to the team, and I managed to be in the team for that first game against Liverpool.
So it was just as well that at the end of the previous season, Graham Stuart single-handedly kept us in the Premier League.
Well, that's what he says, isn't it? It's perfect. It was all down to Graham, to be honest. We were joking before, because when he was playing in that game at Wimbledon, I was playing for the reserves at Sheffield United, trying to keep us in the old Pontins League, which we did, and luckily the first team did.
So it was a big day for the club, Graham.
Yeah, big day for the club. I mean, he started something here, Snowden, by the way. He's got a lot to answer for. I mean, I'd just like to go on record as saying I don't genuinely believe it was only me. He's getting carried away. But no, I mean, we went from strength to strength after that relegation fear, didn't we? We, you know, as I say, Joe joined the football club, and Willie and Joe Royle were magnificent with everybody. Everybody knew their jobs. There was no grey areas with anything. We knew what we were doing on a daily basis, you know, down to, like, you know, double days and stuff like that. You know, we'd train hard, and, you know, we'd get a Thursday off, I think it was, in those days, whereas most of the time you normally train Monday, Tuesday, get a Wednesday off, train Thursday, Friday. We'd go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, have a light session on the Friday, and then really go for it on the Saturday. And as you can see, like, you know, Joe put an awful lot of work in. I mean, look what it's done to his hair. Look.
Hasn't changed one bit there, have it?
What was Willie Donachie like to work with, Joe?
He was fantastic. He was different, wasn't he? He had some strange ideas, which we thought were strange at the time, but, you know, they're getting used now. You know, he was up there trying new things, which, to be honest, the group, the way it was, we tried to do as much as we could what he was after, and Joe was always in the background because Willie took most of the training, but Joe was always there, you know, and, you know, having such a character come back to the club as Joe and what he's done, he had that instant respect, and players wanted to play for him.
You couldn't have dreamt, though, that at the end of that season we'd win the FA Cup.
Oh God, no.
It was all about survival, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was such an up and down season, and we finally, I think it was Ipswich, it was the final points we needed. Rideout scored then again, and it was then trying to look forward to the cup final, which was difficult on my part because I'd been dropped, and just before that, well, Joe always says to me now I was rested, but I was dropped, and it was a worry for me that whether I'd be back in the team for the cup final. Joe
Royle famously coined the dogs of war quip, but the boys could play, couldn't they?
No, I mean, it's, you know, the dogs of war was taken literally, you know, as three lads just, you know, running around, crashing into anything they possibly could and upsetting people's midfields, which they did. But Joe could play, no doubt about that. Barry Horn, you look at the goal we scored against Wimbledon, I mean, he didn't score many goals, Barry, did he? But, you know, Barry could do what the lads recognised. Ebbo was technically very, very good as well. But what they recognised is, and what, you know, what all footballers should recognise is that, you know, do your job and then play simple things. And we did have the opportunity to give the ball to the likes of Anders Limpar, the Andrei Konchelskis of this world, and we knew their strengths. They wanted us to win the ball, get the ball back, work hard, and let them go out and flourish, which they did.
If you could just play one game again, Joe, would it be the semi-final rather than the final when it all came together?
I think so, yeah. It was such a good game. The cup final was a cup final, so we just had to win that, and maybe things, you know, it wasn't the best game as to watch, but the semi-final against Tottenham, because everyone was expecting the Tottenham Man United final. You know, the club itself, the fans got three sides of the ground, which was just amazing. And I know, well, me personally, I knew we were going to win it.
Really?
And I didn't realise how comfortable it was. I mean, to be honest, I had a chance to to get back with us, but you know we just went on and obviously
Do you remember your tackle on Nicky Barmby?
Yes, yeah, he spoke about that when he come to the club. I think I remember tackling Barry on as well the same day. We both got each other, but no, Nick, when he came to the club, he was a great character as well. He was brilliant for us, and he said he remembers a few of the tackles that, because we knew what to do against them, and you know it was our strength. And then we've got players who could go up the other end and score goals for us.
Just talk us through the tackle, Graham.
Oh, honestly, it was brutal. I mean, it was. I'm in fairness to Nicky Barmby, the biggest credit I can give him is that he got up, because I mean they didn't mess about. The three of them never messed about, but this was particularly vicious. Time, not. It wasn't a bad tackle. It was a really strong tackle. It was a fair tackle, but honestly, the pace of it and the ferociousness of it. Oh, I wouldn't have fancied getting up after it. I know that.
It was a terrific day. It was like a home game, wasn't it? There were so many Evertonians in the crowd. One of the great days in Everton's recent history. OK, it's time now for another break, and when we return for the third segment of this week's show, we'll hear from Ashley Williams, and we'll have an extended interview with our former manager, Gordon Lee. Don't miss that one. Welcome back to part 3. Now, for Evertonians of a certain generation, Gordon Lee still divides opinion, but the stats reflect quite well on the job he did from January 1977 to May 1981. His win percentage has him 8th on our all-time manager list, narrowly behind Joe Royle and David Moyes. Gordon Lee led us out at Wembley, of course, for a League Cup final, and if it wasn't for a certain Clive Thomas, he would certainly have done the same in the FA Cup. Gordon's 82 now, but he's still going strong, and he's still as passionate about football as he was when he first joined Everton from Newcastle United.
I felt good about everything. I'd got the nucleus of a good side, a nucleus also of what I call local lads, and I think that is very, very important at any football club, and that's the thing that put me on. I mean, I had some good local lads, as an example, Mickey Lyons. And we had some Lancashire lads as well, and I think that was always good, because I think it's important for particularly a club like Everton and Newcastle to have that relation with the players who they know, and I think they warm to them, and I think it's good for the club and it's good for the fans. I mean, I signed Colin Todd, Asa Harfwood, we had Martin Dobson, David Thomas as well. They're all sort of good players. But if I had to say which is the best player, I would have to say Graham Sharp, insofar that I can't think of anybody that could pay £80,000 for a player, get 10 or 11 years good service and successful service, and be sold for £500,000 to Oldham. That to me has to be the top thing, and that's great. I mean, I was pleased with Graham because a young Scottish boy came to Everton, did very well, and moved on, and he's had a great career. Everton, I'm sure, thought he was great.
What was it like for you after you'd left to see Graham Sharp go on and achieve everything he did? That must have made you very proud.
Yeah, I think that, well, the other thing that sticks out in my memory was when I signed him, I met his family and his dad. And his father was a lovely man. And I remember saying to him, I'll look after him. Tell him sorry like that. And I like to think that his father thought I was telling the truth, but I did look after him, and I'm quite sure that his mother and dad would be very proud of what he's achieved. Because I'm not sure anybody's done that before here, played that long for the club and been so successful. So he'd have to maybe my number one signing.
When you look back on your management career, how much do you think of that 1977 League Cup final, the 3 games against Aston Villa? It was an epic.
It's one of these things, and somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. I remember talking about I went to an Aston Villa All Boys do, and the lad that scored the goal, Chris Nicholl, I can see it going in now, and he can't kick with his left foot. He didn't know what to do with the ball. He just took it and kicked it. It went in. I couldn't believe it. But that's what cup football is all about, I suppose. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But that wasn't such a big a disappointment as the Liverpool game. That'll be me when I'm gone. Because when we scored the 3rd goal, which we thought was the winning goal, I looked on the bench and all the players down, their head was down, and Bob was like that. And I swear to God, that Bob Paisley thought we had won the game and they'd lost. And I know him very, very well. And if he was here now, I'm quite sure he'd tell me the same. And that was my biggest ever down thing in football, and obviously my biggest disappointment.
I suppose we can't talk about all these great players and not mention Bob Latchford.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite helpful for a manager, I guess, when you've got someone who you can rely on to score the goals that he did.
Well, Bob Latchford was one of these lads. I always felt with him that if he was on form, he'd scored every week. He'd got everything. He had power, pace, heading ability, could play with players, all the things that are needed for a centre forward. He was magnificent when he was like that. When it wasn't going too well, we weren't getting chances, he was a bit off balance, mishitting them, misheading them, whatever. He was the opposite. But once he was on a run, he was probably one of the best in the country.
Just to touch on one more player, you mentioned Graham Sharp before, but of course you gave Kevin Ratcliffe his debut as well, and what he went on to achieve at Everton was remarkable.
Another good lad, local lad. Welsh lad, he was North Wales somewhere. I played him up. I put that particular season I decided to do it, when I'd lost a few senior players because of the freedom of contract, I think it was. I decided in my mind that was what I wanted to do. I remember speaking to the chairman, Mr. Carter, and I said that I'm going to put young players in the side. I said that I said I can't see us being consistently good this year, and the best chance we'll have is in the cup competition, whereby you produce games, because I said young players can't produce week in, week out. And it was just the sort of thing that happened. I said to the chairman, Mr. Carter, who was a first-class chairman, even though I left the club, I always remember saying to him that the decision I'm making might be not good for Gordon Lee, but I think it's the right decision for the Everton Football Club.
Joe, what an interesting concept that is, putting the young players in.
Yeah, you've got to be very brave. For instance, a couple of years ago, I was with the under-21s at Wigan Athletic, and I was always pushing for the lads in my squad to be in the first team and saying they were good enough. And then I got promoted up to the first team myself, and then it's a different ball game, because obviously it's the manager's job and your career you could be talking about. So you've got to be very brave to put young kids in. Like you were saying there, they can be inconsistent, so maybe the cups are the best option for them, but you know, at our club we've done really well with it.
It's one of them, isn't it? You never know until you try.
No, not at all. You've got to make sure the 23s is competitive and they're still doing well there, but no matter what, you can't beat league or cup football or real football as it is. And you know, like I say, you've got to be very brave to put them in.
Still going strong, Gordon Lee. Always great to see him at the Everton Former Players Foundation Christmas lunch, Graham.
Yeah, it is. It's good to see him. We all get together and we all sit down and we tend to mill around and have a good chat. And it's good to get into the mindsets of the older folk, as it were, and the older managers. And you know, he's a passionate man still. You know, you never lose that passion, I don't think. If you're in football, you never really lose the desire to watch it, to learn about it, to see the new players coming out. Clearly, he's got a great fondness for Sharpie as well. Someone has to. But no, he's a great fella, Gordon.
He is a lovely, lovely man. Right, let's shift to international football. Everton, of course, were able to field two international captains in Seamus Coleman and Ashley Williams, and they collide in Ireland, very shortly in fact, in a key World Cup qualifier. Well, before he left USM Finch Farm earlier this week, we caught up with Ashley Williams to discuss the prospect of facing his mate in such a big game.
We've had a lot of battles, so it'll kind of be like back in the day when I used to be at Swansea and he was at Everton.
Any pre-match banter ahead of it so far?
Yeah, it's been, you know, we've had a little bit already. I'm sure, you know, we'll probably, I think I'm guessing we'll have at least one argument against each other in the game. So there's a little bit of banter already over the breakfast table.
Any plans for the coin toss to say anything to throw him off before the action starts?
No, he's very professional, Seamus, and you know, he's always fully focused and he gets right up for the games, and same as myself. So, you know, normally we're on the same team, but we'll be against each other, and you know, it'll be fun. It's an important game for both teams as well. We both need to win. Be a difficult game, so you know, like he will be, I'll be fully focused on that night.
And he has become a key player for Ireland. So how important will it be to stop him on the night?
Yeah, he's, you know, unbelievable. One of the best players that I've ever played with. A right back that, you know, can defend, you know, excellently, but also he's one of the most attacking players probably in any team that he plays for. We see it with Everton week in, week out. He's someone that we'll have to stop because you know, he's a very a very important player, as you say, and if he starts to dictate the game from his position at right back, it can be a tough night for us.
Graham, that must be quite strange. Two club teammates who share a dressing room at Finch Farm and Goodison Park opposing each other in what is a very big international football match.
Yeah, it is a big game, and you know, two good lads as well, both proud to captain their countries. They'll step into the centre of the pitch, toss the coin, share a few jovial words. Referee blows that whistle, professionalism kicks in, simple as that.
When Graham says professionalism will kick in, if Seamus needs to kick Ashley or vice versa, they'll have to do it, won't they?
Yeah, it's something you've got to do, isn't it? You know, like you said, they're professional footballers and they want to win the game for the countries. So it's not a question about that. I don't know who'd win that one though.
Tell us about your link with the Welsh international squad when you were playing.
Yeah, Big Nev just come to me. I think he was on the bus actually, and just said, "Have you got any Welsh connections?" And I said, "Well, my nana's surname's Jones, so that must be a decent start." So they got all the details, and unfortunately, that's probably the only Jones in all over the world really that doesn't qualify for Wales. So that was the end of it.
That was the end of it. But he nearly got close to the England squad before he got injured, Graham, Joe Parkinson.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Joe pulled him to one side and said, look, you know, I've had Terry Venables on the phone. Joe was playing really well at the time. You know, you look at the modern day game as well. I mean, he'd have been as good a holding midfield player as there is in the country, I would guess. So, you know, it's a shame, and we all know it's a sad time that Joe was robbed of a number of years of a really good career in front of him. So, but these things happen, and he's gone on and pushed on, and he's back at the club where we want him to be.
Let's speak about the current England squad. Ross Barkley got no game time against Germany. You expect him to play against Lithuania at the weekend?
Well, I hope so. I think he deserves to. You know, he's a player in form. I didn't really see the game last night, so I couldn't comment on, you know, who was in there instead of him. But I think he deserves to have another chance. He's come back at Everton, having got a little bit of stick earlier on in the season, and he's one of their top performers at the moment, so he definitely deserves a chance to play.
He really is in sparkling form, Ross Barkley. And that's it for part 3. Join us in part 4 when we'll be learning more about one of Finch Farm's most popular and enduring characters, and we'll be starting the build-up to next weekend's Merseyside derby. Welcome to the fourth and final part of this week's programme. We're going behind the scenes at USM Finch Farm for our next feature. The kit manager Jimmy Martin is one of the real characters of the Everton training ground. He's been associated with the club since the early 1980s when he actually drove the team bus up and down the country. Last week, his fame reached a whole new level when he was selected to feature in a new series called Premier League People. And after what I'm sure was a laborious editing process, and people who know Jimmy Martin will know what I mean, this is what they were left with.
The longest name is Becklenburg, which is down here. Of course. You can see how it's bent up in the tray. Look at the size of that.
Jimmy Martin's the longest serving kit man in the Premier League. He's the man with the task of making sure the Everton first team have the right clothing for training, travelling and matches.
All the training kit will be out. All the boots are in cubby holes next door, so they'll just pick the boots out. They'll put the trainers in or the flip-flops back in the cubby hole, and then when they come back in, they'll put the dirty boots ready. My lad will clean them, put them back in, and it's just a big circle every day.
Jimmy began his association with Everton in the 1980s when he drove the team bus, before Howard Kendall made him the club's first kit man. He takes the Everton kit across England and around the world to make sure the team looks smart at all times. But it wasn't always this easy.
When I first started at the club, they only had one pair of shorts, one T-shirt, and they had 2 dryers. So them T-shirts and shorts just got dried every day, and they go down to a laundrette at the bottom of the road, and all the kids would take like loads of pound coins and put them in the machines, and so much in the machine, the machine could hardly turn around. They spend all the money on Mars bars and papers while they were waiting for the washing coming out.
A veteran at his beloved club, Jimmy has seen players come and go over the years. Managing expectations and keeping the squad in check is now part of the job.
Keep them all in touch. Yeah, it's simple as that. They know where they stand with me. If I'm not happy, I tell them. Simple as that. I just, I don't care who they are. It made no difference to me, whereas Robin Lukaku or Gareth Barry, I don't care who they are. To me, they're just my mates, works mates, aren't they? And that's it.
Wear and tear aren't the only reasons to get a new shirt. Jimmy's view on luck and superstition also plays a role.
I don't like using the same kit if we get beat. I am superstitious that way, yeah.
Jimmy says the best part of the job is travelling around the world with the team. At 68 years old, he's still going strong as ever and insists he's no plans of retiring anytime soon.
I'd never leave this club. The only way they're going to get me out of this club is carry me out in a coffin. And there's a few want to do that, by the way. Tell you that, they'll be queued up outside the road here.
You've known Jimmy Martin a long time, Diamond, haven't you?
I have, thankfully. Great fella, really, really. I mean, you can tell in the film he's a terrific personality. I love the bit where he turns around and says that everybody knows where they stand with him, and it's true. He doesn't care who you are as a person, whether you're the best player, you've cost 25 million quid, whatever it is. To him, you do what you're told. They've got big kit drums down at Finch Farm. And if you don't put your kit in there after training and he finds any kit in the shower room on it, or anything like that, he'll find out who it is and he goes right up to them, right in the face and lets them know exactly. But it's a good thing because that runs right through the core of the football club. You know, we all try and look after each other and make everybody's life as easy as possible. You know, you can tell, that you can imagine the amount of kit that's dealt with down at Finch Farm, from the first team down to the academy, etc. You know, it makes his life a whole lot easier if everybody looks after him.
Good mate of yours as well, Joe, isn't he?
Yeah, I knew him when he used to drive the bus at Wigan Athletic. And obviously he did Everton as well, used to share it. And he was the first person I saw when I first signed, and I came in the changing rooms. I was in very early, and he came in and made me so welcome. But then sort of that's the end of it then. And it doesn't matter, like Graham said, you know, I think you've got to say he's probably the best head tennis player you'll ever play with. He always said that, didn't he? And
he's got plenty of time to practice, hasn't he?
Exactly, yeah, it is. But he was a great character, and you need them people in the club. Like I say, he's a massive cog in the wheel of Everton Football Club and how it runs. And, you know, it'll be a sad day when he goes, but there'll be a few people checking that coffin, make sure he is in it.
You do well to get the lid down, Will.
I'm glad you said it anyway.
I've been in the kit room, Joe, when young players are creeping down the corridor to get some gear. Jimmy frightens the life out of them, but as Diamond says, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, like we keep saying, he's such an important part of it. You know, he keeps people in check. You know, when the managers or the first team coaches are not around, he's still got the eyes and ears around the changing rooms and in them corridors, and he'll make sure that things are done properly.
And he can actually play head tennis, Graham, can't he?
He can, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's burst a few balls as well along the way. I won't tell you why. I think that's self-explanatory. But no, he can play it, and he's great fun. He's got Seiji in there now, and Sean, his two assistant kit managers who work every bit as hard as Jimmy now. Probably harder, actually, now. Jimmy's now the world tea drinking champion up at Finch Farm. But no, he deserves everything he's got and all the accolades. And I'm glad he's been recognised by the Premier League as well. So that's a nice thing for him. A terrific guy around the place.
And his kit room really is the hub of Finch Farm. Now, we don't normally get too far ahead of ourselves on the Everton show, but as there's no Premier League football this weekend, we'll allow ourselves to start to preview the Merseyside derby, and it's a fixture that Ramiro Funes Mori is very much looking forward to.
It's been a while since we don't win in their pitch, but you know, derbies what marks you, you know, in your life, in the history. So, of course, we're thinking forward to that game.
Are you made very aware of how important that game is when you're out and about in the city? Do you have neighbours? Do you have friends here who tell you how important it is that you do well against Liverpool?
Yeah, not just only on the city, but when I came to Everton, they only talk about the derby against Liverpool and all that. So I know the history. I know I watched always the Premier League and when I was a kid, so I know what it's all about when I came. So it's a really important game for not just the people, but for the city and what you know, the Premier League. So you know about the derby. So hopefully we get the chance to win it, and looking forward to that.
And how do you rate Liverpool at the moment? I mean, they're just a little bit above you, but not that much in it.
Yeah, I think you know they're a good team, honestly, but lately they have been gotten some results. But you know, we don't think about them. We don't care about them at all. So we just like to think about us and what we can achieve to the end of the season.
Then the games come thick and fast. You've got to go to United. You've still got to play Arsenal, Chelsea. Do you sense that you're at what we call the business end?
Yeah, I think you know, we still have lots of games to play, but good games, nice games, and tough games also. We're playing, a big team, so but I think we can face them, we can challenge them. We're in a good run now, so we have to go game by game and get good results.
And what's the target for you this season? I mean, do you want to get into Europa League? I mean, Champions League, I guess, would be a big dream, but I mean, even the Europa League, what's the target for you?
Yeah, I think that's a desire that we all have. Like I said, it's Premier League is really hard. Every game is different, so we have to go game by game and get the good results. And luckily, we're in a good run right now, so we're looking forward to that to be in the Europa League.
Joe, week on Saturday, all eyes will be on Anfield, the Merseyside derby, and it's a fixture that you always relished.
Yeah, absolutely. They were fantastic games. Never really enjoyed the week going up to it. A bit of pressure on you, and you don't want to let yourself down. Especially the fans, because especially in our time, we used to go out as well, didn't we? So we didn't want to get into any trouble while I was in town or anything. So it was a massive game for us, and I didn't play in many. I was lucky enough not to get beaten. The few I did play in, but it's the biggest game of the season, isn't it?
Two big games coming up, Graham, because very quickly after Liverpool, Manchester United at Old Trafford, if we can come through them unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've worked really hard as a football club to position ourselves where we are now, within touching distance of that top six. But these two games are absolutely pivotal now. You heard Ronald Koeman talk about it earlier in the show. If we've got aspirations to get in that top six, potentially push towards the top four, we really have to be taking probably 4 points out of these two games, which is going to be tough because the Liverpool are a good side. We have to accept that, especially at home. And Manchester United have done terrifically well under Jose Mourinho as well. So the lads are going to really have to be at their best in those two games.
Would you a win at Anfield, Joe? They are beatable, aren't they? As Graham says, they are good at home, but they're beatable.
Of course, yeah. They've had a couple of decent results, but before that they were under a lot of pressure, weren't they? They're not playing too well. Said in the past derby games, it doesn't matter where you are in the league. I mean, we're both right up there now, aren't they? And we've said before, they're so important for many reasons. But if we want to kick on and carry on their aspirations of getting up that league and getting back into Europe, these are the games we need to win. I'll take 4 points, as long as it's 3 at Anfield.
Wouldn't we all? We'd all echo Joe Parkinson's Merseyside derby sentiments. And that's just about it for this week, a week in which the first steps have been taken towards a bright and exciting Everton future. As for on the pitch, it's the last international weekend of the season, and when the Blue Boys reconvene at USM Finch Farm, all the focus will be on the 228th Merseyside derby. We'll have an extensive preview for you, of course, in next week's programme. My thanks to the Diamond and to Joe Parkinson for their excellent input this week. We'll see you again in 7 days' time for another Everton show.
Catch the lowdown for all your entertainment, culture and lifestyle from around Liverpool.
At 6:30 and 9:30 every night, straight after the news.